Not one of the girls in this room.
I'm gonna mute everybody out. Terry, if you don't mind unmuting yourself.
What are you doing here at this hour?
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the IX Global or IX Growth Training. My name is Sarah Shabbat. For those of you that don't know me, and for those that do know me, welcome. This is our Thursday night training. I haven't really been in front of the camera in a couple of weeks, so I apologize. It's good to be back. I had a surgery that kind of put me out, and I apologize for being absent for some time, but I want to thank my co-hosts that run these for holding it down while I was unable to do so. And I was also traveling last week. So thank you guys for that. We have a really special training tonight. We're recording this because I've had a lot of people that told me that they can't make it, but they want the recording. We have a special guest. I've asked my good friend Terry Tillaart and my business partner to come on here and join us because he is just killing it here at IX Global. He's been with us for about 4 months and he just blew past the rank of global influencer. So if you guys don't know what that is, that's over 100,000 in volume for the month. And he's also, I hope you don't mind me sharing, Terry, but he's also bringing in more than 5 figures a week in commissions. So even more impressively, he's doing this without social media, without Facebook, without Instagram, without any of those platforms. He's running it totally different than what most of us are used to. And he's, like I said, he's absolutely killing it. So I wanted to have him come in here and share with all of us about how he's doing that. But as a reminder, our trainings are run a little bit differently. They are much more interactive than what most people are used to. So Terry's going to share from the heart what he feels like is necessary. We met with him earlier today, and I know Doug, Eric, and I couldn't be more excited to hear from him. And I don't want to ramble on and on and on. You guys, this is Terry Tillaart.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Excited for it. You'll probably figure out that I'm very passionate. I'm very excited about what's going on with IX and DebtBox specifically. And so I think that's also part of I promise where I'll start off the training is at some point in time, you need to let people feel your passion at some point, right? On some level, they're joining and trusting you. And for a lot of you, you're taking it a little too casual. You're not getting serious enough about it, not going deep enough down the rabbit hole to have a deep understanding of what DebtBox is really building out and where this is going and how it's going to impact the lives of other people. Because if you really did, it'll just come through in your voice, right? It'll be hard to say the wrong things. Your enthusiasm will be, pretty contagious. But I don't want to ramble on right away. Just want to pass the mic over to Eric or Doug. Do you guys have anything you want to touch on specifically to get started?
No, I think we covered some things earlier today, and I think, you have a good idea. Let's just, rock and roll. Let's go for it.
I mean, Terry, if you don't mind me hopping in here, I think that one of the biggest things that you're really good at is that communication with your team, the way that you run things. I think that we forget that we communicate for a living, we share things for a living. And if we're not on top of things, then honestly, we're going to sit in quicksand. So if you, like I mentioned when we got going, Terry, you're not on Facebook, you're not on Instagram, you don't utilize those social platforms. So if you could kind of share with us how you're going about, getting your prospects, how you're running your businesses, how do you do what you do?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty loaded question. So I got banned, for those of you who know the loose term truth or whatever you want to call that. That's me. I used to have a large social media following. And to be honest, I thought I'd be pretty handicapped coming into this, feeling like I've lost almost my entire network. Used to have a huge list, got banned off of everywhere. And then I'm not proud to say this, but took a couple of years off from all platforms. So we only have a small, tiny little remnants of our old group. And we've been trying to onboard them on the Telegram, but as most of you know, a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on Telegram. They don't read everything that's on Telegram. It's hard to keep people engaged on there. And it's, Telegram has become a crypto and kind of business platform for those who aren't that serious about either of those two things. They don't spend a lot of time on there, so that's difficult. So I always make sure that I am networking, locally, real simple stuff, right? Sometimes it just, my wife and I, sometimes we would go out to dinner and grab a table and, and sit at the table in the corner. From now on, it's just like, why are we doing that? Let's just sit at the bar every night. You just don't know who you might meet, right? Like it just presents way more opportunity to chat with the bartender, chat with people next to you, right? And in social conversations, I'm always trying to find a way to bring up some current event related to finances, which eventually leads me into crypto, where I try and feel them out, right? Because ultimately, I think the way this business needs to be run, and I think it's the biggest mistake that most people do. An old mentor of mine used to say that professionals sort and amateurs are selling, right? And so I just believe that this whole game is about piquing their interest. And that's what we teach the team constantly. It's just don't oversell it. Don't get crazy. You want to pique their interest. If they're really pressing you, give them an overview and then just remind them, listen, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. All I know is I know a guy who does. All I know is I saw an interview recently, right? One of the biggest approaches to this, I think, that pays off really well for people is when you were talking too much about the company, the product, the projects and stuff. This sounds crazy to most people, but I don't even mention the company name. Like I don't do that. I've had some success in this arena before. And it's always been without, I don't even mention the company names. So when you start mentioning company names and products, it starts to feel like a sales pitch. And one way to redirect that conversation is edifying mentors of yours, right? You can say, I'm always looking at passive investment opportunities. I've got this in our group. It's kind of one of the ideas we put in our head is we say, I've been involved in the crypto space for a long time. I speak at crypto conferences. I'm on some of the big stages, and we've been involved with passive income kind of stuff for a long time. So it's easy for people to say, I follow this guy that I really trust, and he's been putting me on to a lot of things. And recently I listened to an interview about this crypto backed by commodities. This interview blew me away, right? You see, I'm talking about, we're having people talk about mentors and interviews and two experts on a call. And we're talking about people. Right? Because that doesn't put someone on the defense, right? People are very defensive when they think you're about to sales pitch them, right? So it's just a wildly better approach to take that route. And there's many different ways, and we can get into that if you guys want to, but the idea is about piquing the interest and trying to move a natural conversation and flow it into them being excited about you sending them some information that you recently watched that had a big impact on you. You're not making it about you. You're making it about what they can get out of this. If they were to watch the interview, if they were to follow other great mentors, right? If they were following other people who've been making 7 and 8 figures that were on the interviews, if they hear about those kinds of stories, they could benefit if they had those mentors in their life. It's kind of that kind of approach. And then, we talked a little bit about crypto backed by commodities and how tokenization of assets is real and fiat's going down and the banks are in trouble. People need to look for other options. So that's kind of what we teach. And then we take it all to Telegram group. So let me just kind of touch on the Telegram part, and then I'll hit the pause button to see if you guys want to go in a different direction. But I've always believed in teaching people that we only talk to people about that which they are already interested in, right? If someone just wants to be a passive investor, by all means, goddamn, get out of their way and just let them be a passive investor. They may change their mind down the road, and let them tell you that. But do not have a Telegram group. I think it's a huge mistake that people make. A Telegram group, and I see this on universal Facebook groups, and it's 3 posts about being a passive investor, and then it's 5 posts about building the business. But 85, 90% of the people are not going to ever build a business. So stop talking to them about that. There's something weird in human psychology that people get in their heads. It's not right thinking, but it is reality, that when people talking about the business all the time, they feel like someone's there to take something from them, right? They feel like you're benefiting off of their backs. People get these weird mentalities. We have a lot of weird neuro associations with money, right? And a lot of them feel like network marketing is a dirty, icky, sticky, nasty, stinky word. So let them feel like they're not involved with that whatsoever. Like if they're not interested in that, that conversation should never come up. And I have a Telegram group that's for business builders, and we talk about very different things. And we only talk about business building and training in there, only. And in the other group, we only talk about debt box, passive investing stuff. We post some driven calls, you know, that kind of thing. In fact, this makes some people feel weird, but when I promote a corporate call and there's too much network marketing this, network marketing that, it feels like nails going down the blackboard for me. And if I hear that in a call early on, I'm going into the group and I'm deleting it because it shouldn't have been posted in the passive investor group. It's not the conversation those people came to hear. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I was really grateful that I got to interview Joe Martinez and stuff like that. And listen, there's some great nuggets in it and nothing personal with Joe. Yeah, I like Joe. There's nothing personal there. But he talked about network marketing too much for my comfort zone. And I wish if it were up to me, I could have controlled or fielded those questions ahead of time and told him that that wasn't the conversation that we were there to have per se, right? And I'm sure he's used to people bringing him on for those reasons, but that's just not, it's not what I do. So, and also, when you're talking to people about debt box, don't ever friggin' be the one to bring up, and then you can be an IX and you can have referrals and you can build the business, you can get commission and Joe will buy you nodes. Shh, one conversation at a time, one decision at a time. And when they say, is this network marketing? You know, I just say, listen, here's what happened. And I go through, I have a little story that I tell about debt box and how Jason wasn't interested in that. But they need more wallet holders. They can't just give all the ownership back to Wall Street. And sometimes people need to work really hard to onboard new people into crypto. They deserve to get a small referral fee. But don't worry, you don't need to worry about that whatsoever. 90% of people are passive investors, and you can get all your financial goals just by being a passive investor. So then back to the point about Telegram is we run a Telegram group that's just business stuff. We take on some questions, you know, if people have questions in there, people can dialogue when I'm not in there and help each other out and all that good stuff. But even after that little tech support kind of stuff is sorted out, I usually delete that stuff, try and keep the group clean, because I want them to be able to use the group to search all the media files. You guys know in Telegram, in every group, you can, Telegram indexes everything by media file type. So I take screenshots circling that. And when people are asking questions, I say, it's all in the group. You can search it right here. And you can also search right here in the top right. And you can find anything that you want. And we kind of want it to be more of a repository of good information and lots of quotes from Jason. So I'll jump in the groups that Jason's in and pull off the highlight reel, because I'm not going to ask the average person, the average casual person is not going to go in that group and read through 300 stupid messages. When Lambo, when Nat G, why Nat G down, why Explorer down, stop bringing out new projects. You know, it's 100 to 1 bad comments versus questions. So I just go in and pull in the highlight reel for people. And I post that in my group, right? And I stay on top of it because I want to show people that I'm taking it serious. If you show them that you're casual, by the way, you're teaching them by your actions that they ought to be casual. If I'm teaching them that their whole life is going to change if they just shut up and pay attention here, your whole life is going to change beyond your wildest dreams, probably in a way that you can't comprehend. It's worth every ounce of your attention, right? And by the way, when I'm piquing interest and I'm putting people what I call in process, those are the things that I make sure I drip in there. Hey, you're totally welcome to not like this and not be as enthusiastic as I am. But all I can plead with you for is that this is super time sensitive, not for me, not for you, not because of some gimmick, but because layer one is launching soon and all the big gains are going to be gone. And I'm trying to protect you from losing that. So just do me a favor, give me your attention, get to the bottom of the rabbit hole, because I fucked up. I waited 6 months before I got to the bottom of the rabbit hole, missed out on a ton of money. I don't want it to happen to you. So just get to the bottom of the rabbit hole. And if it's yay or nay, that's cool. And I'll be here when you have questions. And when you're gone through those videos, let me know. I've conducted 10 hours of other recorded interviews, 6 in-person hours worth of interviews. I know exactly what information you're going to need next. So just let me guide you through the process when you have another question. So I'll hit the pause button there. But if anyone wants to chime in, if you guys want me to go deeper on that or totally shift gears, let me know. I want to make sure I deliver whatever you're seeking.
Yeah, Terry, that's really great. I mean, I have one question. if you, and this is a total segue, so if you want to stay more on the nuts and bolts and the blocking and tackling of the business, but at some point I would like to know how you and your team generate this kind of volume in 4 months, how you're getting this type of BV. What are people buying?
Great question. I don't think we have anything secret sauce wise. I think it's that we have I don't know, we definitely noticed something changed when I created a sharing tool about a month ago. I did 2 consecutive videos, and that I did a few other ones, smaller ones, sharing tool stuff, but that we had a big up curve from there. So I think that probably has something to do with it, but it's because it's finding a way to summarize not just the past, but also the future, right? If you're having them listen to other, if you're having them listen to older calls and stuff like that, then all they're hearing about is a node or a specific project, and they're not catching that L1 vibe and how it connects to the old stuff. But I think what's working for us is, and it's really priceless advice for everybody, this business is wildly, insanely easier to build fast than it is to build slow. So you heard that we just crossed past the 4-month mark, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. So we just made 30 grand in the last 30 days. You know, we had 2 weeks and we went over the 10 grand mark, which, you know, is very exciting. We think that's great for 4 months in. I'd like to do a lot more if I'm being really honest, but, and my big goal is that I want Joe to buy me as many nodes as I would like. and my appetite for lots of nodes is high. So come on, Joe, buy me some damn nodes. And so I think it's instilling upon my team that idea that you need to, this is so much easier to build fast. And by the way, once L1 launches, all the opportunity will be gone. There'll still be lots of money to be made, right? Who are we kidding? But once it's already gone up by 1,000x, okay, and we double it again from there a few more times, that's wonderful. But it's kind of like Bitcoin at this point. Everyone's going to be so happy when it hits 100K, but that's only going to be a 3x from now. Now, maybe historically in traditional investing, you'd be excited about a 3x, but a 3x doesn't get me that excited. You know, it just doesn't. I've been in crypto for a long time. I'm used to, like, if I'm in a passive investment program, I want at least 10% a month. This 10% a year crap, what is that? You know, and even 10x doesn't sound that exciting in crypto anymore. But that L1, you know, as Travis always says, it's going to happen much, much sooner than you think. I still remember being in the DR, talking to Jason, eyeball to eyeball, hung out with him for hours. And I said, listen, the cameras aren't on, you know, so just give it to me straight. Where is the layer 1? Because I think you can appreciate that there is some attack vectors on Binance. And he said, it's already done. It's basically completely done. He's like, you know, we just need security audits and we need, you know, some fine tuning on some little stuff, but that's about it. So that was several months ago. So, you know, they're going to under promise and over deliver. They don't want to be too hypey. I don't know. But honestly, if it happened in September or October, wouldn't surprise me any. And so I just tell my team, like, why don't you get as many friends and family, if you actually care about them, why wouldn't you want them to get in front of an opportunity where we might make 50x, 100x, 1000x? No one knows what that number is going to be, but it's going to be a big number. If as long as they continue to execute on that vision, and it appears that they do, and they've got a good track record, help your friends and family get in front of them. And people are hurting. They're going to be stuck in CBDC trap if they don't get enough money in front of this train. And I just tell them, listen, there's a tsunami and the water is already backed up all the way. This is where we're at right now. And it's tsunami time. Like, do you want to position yourself really well in front of it and get on that surfboard and go? And a lot of them, I said, can you afford all the nodes that you would honestly really like right now? And most people say, no. I'm like, then let Joe pay for them. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, Joe buys nodes all the time. Joe loves to buy nodes. He'd be thrilled to buy you some nodes. But you're on a limited time window and your friends are on a limited time window. You got to move now. We got to get through to people now because the rails are about to come off on this thing, right? We just had a whole bunch of halvings. We had another NatG halving. We've got all these projects going to NFT. We've got more of that coming. The royalties are starting to hit maturity point. 75% of all the tokens in NatG and BGLD are already blown out. The sellers are going to sell their NFTs soon. And then the price is going to move and everyone's going to miss out, right? And a rising tide is going to lift all boats. We've already got pre-L1 projects already onboarding. You don't have a lot of time. And so And by the way, Debtbox might set us all free, and we might not care about the IX stuff in a few years from now, but why not get as much as you can in front of the tsunami and let Joe pay for it, right? And so I think that's one thing that our team does well, because I really try and instill that in their mindset once they've expressed an interest. And another thing that I think does well is, you know, I heard Randy Gage say this so many times, so many years ago. It doesn't matter what works. It only matters what duplicates, right? It doesn't matter what works. It only matters what duplicates. It doesn't matter what works. It only matters what duplicates. And so if you want to go play expert and try and sit down and explain everything to every person all on your own, right in the very first meeting, and sell them hard and walk them across the bridge on your own, by all means you can, but they ain't going to be doing that. Like they're not going to do that. And so if you can make it about piquing interest, putting them in front of a few simple tools, a few sharing videos, and then slowly walking them from one video to the next and into a three-way Telegram chat or a three-way call, whatever they feel comfortable with, right? That's doable. People say, what do I got to do? Pique their interest. Tell them how excited about you were when the first time you watched some of these videos. Tell them there's no way you can explain it better than the guys in the videos. So why don't I just send it to you? And then if you have questions, I actually happen to know the dude in some of the videos and I can connect you to him. Because if you ask me too many questions, I'm not going to know the answers, but I know a guy who does. You know, I know a guy, right? And that know a guy thing is very powerful, right? And then it's, listen, I'll call in a favor. As soon as you're serious and you watch enough videos, I promise I'll put you on the phone or in a three-way Telegram chat. You know, I got to call in a favor for you. So you just got to prove that you're serious, and then we can get it done. And that process is duplicating. You know, I heard Mike Healy say it well, and he was just saying, you know, for some reason he's watched over decades that when your team gets to about 100, 120, especially if it happens in a short time frame, that the thing will take on a life of its own. There's some kind of universal weird kind of juju, but it's just a law of statistics that you're going to have some serious people within that realm, within that cohort. But by the way, if you never have any momentum and they never have any momentum and they see no carry, no right carry, left carry, missing out on their thing, and they're not seeing new people being added to the group, and you're not leading by example, what are the odds that they're going to go do it? So let's just say the magic number is 120. I don't know what the hell the number is. It's somewhere in there. But if you find out that you just pushed really hard, really fast and got to that number, and you're going to get some help along the way, it's not going to be all on you, that eventually, before you know it, in a short time frame, there'll be 250 in there. And that 250 is going to turn into 500, and that 500 is going to turn into 1,000. And then you don't need a large number. You don't need everybody spending huge amounts of money. A large number of people spending a small amount will always get you there. If your entire team just bought one new rev license next week, I mean, every single person on the team, you know, you'd be in a very good position already, right? But I'm also making sure that I'm helping people understand the value, the special value in a new project, but also understand how valuable the old projects still are. And that keeps volume going. You're eventually going to find some big buyers. You're going to find lots of small buyers. You're going to find some small builders. You're going to find some big builders, you know, and it's going to go. But if you can help them get some checks and some momentum, they're going to stick with it. But the secret sauce is momentum. Can I share one more story before we switch the subject? So a mentor of mine years ago was pretty much in the Guinness book in this industry for making millions and millions of dollars and always going to the top of the comp line over and over and over and over again. And he's helped over, I think it's almost like 50 people become millionaires, seven-figure earners, helped 7 other people. So it's not just him making the money. And I had asked him, because eventually we became really close friends. And I said, well, you know, what happens? Like, did you win every time? Do you really crush it in every company? He's like, no, it's a bunch of companies, man, where I got in there and I push and I push and I push and I push and I couldn't get any traction. Just couldn't do it. I'm like, what do you think? What happened in those cases? What happened? Like, you're teaching the same stuff, doing the same stuff, are you not? He said, couldn't get momentum. He said, I realized that whenever the company or the product or the service wasn't on trend, really when that thing wasn't on trend, and when the company didn't have any momentum, it was friggin' impossible. There was nothing I could do to make it work. He said, but anytime I jumped in another company to hit momentum, all my stuff still works. So I could just boom, explode it, generate lots of momentum, jump in, have something that's on trend, and rock it off, right? And so, have you ever read Richard Bliss Brooks' book, The 4-Year Career? There's this wonderful graphic in there, and I try and show it to my new people. There's a guy pushing a car, and it's called The 4-Year Career, right? But the guy's pushing it, it's like pushing a car uphill. As you get towards the top, the incline is not so steep, and once you get to the other side, the car goes down the hill. Your job is to push the car up the hill. That's the 120 people we're talking about. And it doesn't need to be no 4-year career. It could be a 4-month journey. I just proved it without any social media accounts. We just proved that it's possible. We're on an orphan leg. We have no power leg, no spillovers, no placements, nothing. We have support from the upline, but in terms of any volume coming from anywhere else, we started from scratch. So in 4 months, we pushed the car over the hill. We've passed that, what Mike Healy is describing at 100, 120 in a short time frame. And now we're watching our group grow every single week by increasing numbers. And I'm the one adding less and less of those people, smaller and smaller percentages. So that's wonderful. So I'll stop there. But if you understand that's the secret sauce right now, push the damn car. And by the way, if you don't have momentum when you're pushing the car, you know how much harder it gets, especially if it's in an incline. You've got to get momentum and push it over the hill.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's perfect. So that's sort of an interesting segue. I wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about placement. You know, there are a lot of theories out there about, you know, where to start and getting, you know, 1 to 3 people in the power leg to get that momentum going in at least one leg before people start building their inside leg and things like that. I was just wondering what your thoughts are and what your strategy is for not only yourself, but then for other people, how to get them to build their binary.
Well, listen, at some point in time, everyone has to be mindful of their own self-interest. And if you feel like you're altruistic, don't worry, everyone on your team is only thinking about one person. So they're going to build their own, right? It's just the way that it is. I care about how everyone else is doing. But at the same time, when every week is ending, I still got to look at where my volume is. And I've got a massive carryover because there's big buyers on the left side. And I've got 4 new people. They're going on the right side because I'm going to try and capture as much of that carryover as I can. But my goal is also to support everyone on the power leg as much as possible and try and drive enough depth and get enough real builders there to hopefully to get to the point that they're totally self-sufficient. And I can just go focus on the left leg and go give them the same treatment. I'm never ignoring any one side, but we had the case where we've got a couple of very large buyers on one side, and we brought in some decent sized buyers on the other side too, but man, it's taken a lot of people to keep up with them. But now we've gotten to the point where a lot of our weeks, the scales are starting to tip, right? Again, which I'm excited about because we have some builders who are excited on the left side, and we haven't driven near as much depth on that outside leg for them. And I'm excited for them to just start waking up and seeing, you know, a little more help, a little more support, a little more volume, a few more people, and a few more people who are pursuing their own dreams, starting to build out their own team. I'm very excited to give them that also and help. So I'm not taking my foot off the gas. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if my current debt box balance goes up by 1,000x, I might take the foot off the gas. I'm not saying I won't support anyone, but the foot will be off the gas a little bit. But I still want to help people pursue their dreams, and my conversation about urgency to people just is never lost on it, because right now, but I'm not talking about fake urgency. I'm not saying you need to do it for me. I'm not playing I only have 2 time slots tomorrow, pick one game. I'm just saying, listen, this is for your own interest. And another great thing to remind people of, I find this very powerful. I do think it is resonating with people as I say, listen, I want you to know that I'm trying my damnedest to shake the hell out of you. If I can come to your house and shake you and force you to pay attention on the couch and put toothpicks in your eyes and chain you to the couch, I would. But I'm doing it for your benefit. Whether you do this or whether you don't, I've got enough in front of the tsunami that I'm never going to worry about money ever again. I'm already set. So get any ideas out of your head that I'm calling you for my self-interest. I'm trying to help you, my friend. I don't want you to miss out. I don't know what date the tsunami really takes off. but we are friggin' close. If we were at a rocket station, the cloud smoke's already billowing, the engines are already on, the thing's shaking, you know, the crew's there ready to unhinge this thing. The rocket's going to take off. And by the way, I don't know how you guys see this playing out, but in my mind, time will tell if I'm correct or not. We're not going to get that much warning when layer one's ready to go, right? It's like, when it's ready to go, it's ready to go. And if you're well positioned, you're well positioned. If you're not, wow, you're going to scramble hard in those last couple of weeks. But even by then, as soon as anyone gets the feeling that the frenzy is on, the buying and everything is going to go crazy, and the selling is going to lock right up, and the prices are going to start escalating before the show starts, right? So it's just, I just tell people, like, you just need to get to the bottom of the rabbit hole as fast as possible. Let me help you do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this
Anyone
is
want to give it on
also
this?
good, Harry. This is, I mean, I think urgency, a lot of people have a hard time putting urgency on what we have here. And I love that you're really focusing on that, because I guess the terminology that I would use is that, you know, we have a lot of people sitting on the fence a lot of the time. So when you have that, how do you go about, you know, pushing them over?
Here's another thing I did not share with you guys that I must share with you. Stop friggin' texting people. Hit that little microphone button and personalize the message. Make it as long as is necessary. Don't ramble forever and talk their ear off. But I mean, make it as long as necessary. Spell out the key points for them, you know, and let them know what's about to happen, right? Like, I'm voice texting people all the time. And the other thing too is I say, listen, I know you don't quite understand this yet, but you have to understand when a new project launches, the urgency is so friggin' real on this. All right, let me give you an example. Sometimes it depends who I'm talking to and what stage of the process I'm in. You guys probably saw in the Telegram group, Jason put out these math equations. Some high-level math nerds get on Excel and they spell out where the projected prices are going. I mean, this is MIT, Harvard stats type stuff, approved by Jason, not me making it up. And I say, it doesn't matter if Jason's 90% wrong. Like, just cut those numbers at 90% in half. Your life will be forever changed if we get anywhere near those projected numbers, right? And so, like, if you have a half-life thing coming up right now, right? Anyone who got in early on, let's say DCM, maybe you got more than one license, you picked up a few more on the falling knife, whatever. You probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 tokens. Have you done the math? If that token hits 550, like Jason was talking about, where we end up? I mean, have you done the math if it just goes to $50? And what if it takes 2 years longer to go to $50 than we wanted to, right? Like, you can discount it and slice it up any way you want. We're talking about massive money sitting in that account for making the move now. Right? And that token accumulation window was just so damn narrow. And trust me, when I was new and evaluating this, I did not and could not get my head around the urgency behind a new license launching and why I needed to get in right away. And by the way, on some of the old style projects like Aluminum Explorer, it probably didn't even matter that much. But on these half-life tokens, holy shit. Like, you know, so you got to get some urgency if you got someone already in process and say, listen, you have to understand by the 25th, there's going to be a very big life-altering financial decision you need to make. You can choose not to like it at all if you don't like it. I ain't going to chase you down. I already know what the hell I'm doing. But this is not FOMO. It's not me making it up. This is for your benefit. But the opportunity, the timing and the window there is totally there. You have to grab it if you want to max out the profits. Hey, if you only like pennies on the dollar, you know, you can stick with pennies, but you know, I'm not doing that. So a little bit urgent in voice texting. People voice text all the time. People stop skipping. I keep telling people voice text, voice text, voice text. Help them get it. Help them get it. Anyone, Eric, did you want to chime in on something?
Yeah, just one thing I want to say is, you know, and I totally agree, is the urgency, creating that urgency in the conversations. I have noticed since I have done that even in my group, it's night and day on how the response is and the reaction is, because, you know, one thing, I was kind of passive with it all. I was more like, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, this is, you know, because I'm like you, Terry, I've got everything set up, and you're right, that rocket is on, it's ready to go. And my biggest thing that I'm learning now is to create that urgency with others in letting them know, hey, we're right there, this thing is ready to blast off, and get on while you can, because, you know, we all understand what the L1 is, we all understand what the L2 is. You know, when they talk about coming on the L2 rail on that side, hundreds and hundreds of projects, blows my mind when we look at these projects, what, you know, and they have a KYC, they have a process they go through. Well, you know, as well as I do, they're going to critique each one of these companies of where they are financially, what they're going to do, and the potential that they have. And, you know, when you start adding that up, it's mind boggling on the potential that all this has. So that's now information I'm taking now, and I'm presenting that more to people on the conversations. And I love to hear that you're talking about that, because I agree, the urgency, I haven't had the urgency as much as I should have. And to hear that you're talking about that, that's something I'm going to share more with others, is the urgency side of this, because I've been pretty passive on that side. So I totally agree.
Well, you know, and I think that the best, there's way too many sales reps, whatever you want to call them in this world, always manufacturing some kind of scarcity, right? But a license selling out is a license selling out. An L1 launching is an L1 launching. When the sellers on NatG finally give away their NFTs that they don't value, they will have no new tokens coming in, and they're going to sell those NFTs to people who value them. And that price is going in one direction and one direction only. And I don't know when that day is, but it's going to happen abruptly when it happens, right? That price is going to rocket up. This may sound crazy to me, but like, here's the other thing I say to people sometimes. Like, I said, listen, think of it this way. Let me give you another scenario, because maybe it'll make sense for you, because right now you're focused on how much confusion you have about how big this ecosystem is. Let me just ask you what decision you'd make if I presented this scenario to you. If my wife worked at JP Morgan and she happened to walk by the boardroom in a private meeting, and you found out that they were about to move $5 billion into XRP tomorrow, what would you go home tonight and do? What do you think someone's going to say?
I would be loading up.
Buy XRP. Yeah.
Yeah, like whether you're talking about Amazon, Tesla, Apple, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. I asked him, I said, okay, listen, let me tell you something. A little birdie told me that there's a minimum of 2 billion about to be put in here, and that's on the low end conservative side. So I don't care what you understand or don't understand right now. Do you want to get in front of that or not? You have a chance to front run $2 billion, and you just want to think about it. I mean, how long you want to think about that for?
Yeah,
you know?
right. I'd be driving home during lunch.
I'll be
That's the
texting
thing,
when I'm
guys.
driving. Guys say, come on, get the app
Yeah.
open.
I
gotta get
don't think, I never think, I just do. I act, damn
Yep.
it.
Yep.
You know, you got to think about how much money that is. That is a lot. We're not talking about insignificant dollars. We're talking about huge money. By the way, here's the thing that no one's willing to talk about, and I don't know why, but let's, here's the little canary in the, whatever you want to call it, whatever metaphor you like. Does anyone think when a project moves from market cap 2,400 up into the top 10, that there'll be no speculators on the way into these projects? Are you kidding? You know how much speculative money is coming in outside of the L2 projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The majority of
that's
cryptos all run on speculative money. So, and institutional money starts finding out there's royalties backed by it. Institutional money understands that there's loans against the assets, so the incentive to sell has been removed. What you have to understand is that we're not just talking about oil and gold. We are talking about the de-riskification of crypto. And there's nothing institutional investors care about more than risk. If you remove that, the money is going to follow. We're creating the black hole of money that's going to race in. Like, so, I'm trying to impart this upon people, right? Like, I don't need to impress you or impress upon you. And frankly, other than caring about your person, I don't give a shit what you do. I'm very well positioned for this tsunami. By the way, I'm not done buying. Don't confuse that. But if I did nothing else from here on out, as long as they execute, as long as someone doesn't, nuke the place and bomb every single project on every continent and every country simultaneously, I'm not going to ever have to worry about money again. So, I'm trying to help you, but you don't want it, whatever. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be loading my bags every day. My wife's always like, can we have a little bit of the friggin' money coming in? I'm like, no, no, we have a limited time until the tsunami takes off. I don't know, because the tsunami is going to take off before L1 launches in my mind. So I only have a fixed amount of time to load up on as many things as I can. And once that's done, then we can take some money and funnel it away and we'll be in good shape. And I'm not too worried about that in the meantime. So
Terry, for the people on here that don't know what the L1 means, can you talk about it and what it means about debt box and in kind of kindergarten terms so that they can understand that?
yeah, I think the 23-minute video that we share kind of goes over some of this, but I feel like I want to create another crypto / blockchain 101 where we're not even talking about debt boxes, help people understand why crypto itself is important and where its real value lies. But the basic gist of it for L1, how do we give it the kindergarten version here? I would say is that it's like the first easy metaphor is thinking of a highway, right? They are building a big 8-lane highway. Anyone that's ever been to any major metropolis has seen these huge highways, right? And everyone who wants to use this highway is going to pay a toll on that bridge. So just imagine how many drivers are going to come through in a city like Toronto or Los Angeles, or DC. We're going to own that whole highway, and it's a toll highway. So we're going to get to collect enormous amounts of money that have to flow through there. And you and I get to own our own little piece of the toll bridge, right? Because that metaphor helps people step into what's in it for me without needing to understand blockchain at all. But for those who do understand blockchain, I just try and say, or that don't, here's what it is. Let me try and go back a few steps. Blockchain is an accounting ledger, but it's a triple entry accounting ledger, meaning that we all heard stories about these big, huge Fortune 100 companies that are being audited by accounting firms. And yet we find out, like Enron, the whole thing was a lie and everybody loses their money overnight. Because that was dual entry accounting. That means it's happening inside the company and they can manufacture every number on the books. And there's no way to know what they really have. Triple entry accounting means that everything happens in real time. The blockchain is a truth machine, and that's why people value it. There is no fudging it. You can never go back and change the numbers. Whatever happens, happens on it. And there's a copy across the entire world overnight, instantaneously. So that's the first thing people need to understand about blockchain. It's a truth machine. And so when you think about an L1 in the case of debt chain, now they're going to launch an L1 where they're going to track all of these resources coming out of the ground real time. Seed to seal in the grow project, or an RFID on a wellhead in an oil well case. That's never been done, because right now, when we want to invest in gold or oil or ExxonMobil or whatever, we have to take their word for it. We're taking their word for friggin' everything. You can't verify anything that's happening. And by the way, for a lot of people, those are their big questions in crypto. What's it backed by and who do I got to trust? Right? That's what crypto is doing. It's removing the layer of trust. You're trusting in the code, and now you're going to be trusting on-chain data. So you don't have to trust a person. You're not sending your money to a head office somewhere. You're not betting on them managing the money correctly. So there's a lot of big benefits here. But when the L1 launches, they're going to build that kind of transparency into it. And then the layer 2 is just a set of smart contracts. Smart contracts are simply, if this happens, then that happens. picture me in the future, it's not, we're not there yet. Picture me in the future putting a bid on a home in Colombia. And I would put a few conditions that if this happened and this happened and this happened, then execute the contract and my money's in escrow and I would take possession of the real estate instantaneously, because that is where we're going. The tokenization of all assets in the world are going on blockchain. This idea that you're going to go down to the local title company and involve all kinds of lawyers and real estate agents and insurance companies, that's going the way of the dodo bird. We are going to have peer-to-peer transactions and you can verify the ownership on a blockchain and transfer it instantaneously at no cost. That, I mean, the legacy systems aren't going to survive that. But so those smart contracts, we're having a smart contract layer on debt chain that's going to allow any new company to create their own blockchain, basically, literally overnight. If you understand how much time and money it costs to build out your own blockchain, it's incredibly expensive and time consuming. To be able to just come on and launch a project and somebody else's is incredible to be able to do. And so I say, like, they said, why is this debt chain a big deal? I said, well, because there's a saying in crypto that Binance has more money than God. And they do. They're probably getting up there with the Saudi, oil fund kind of money. And we are going to come in and beat them at their own game. Like, we're going to come and beat them at their own game. Like, Ethereum is obsolete technology. And I just remind people, like, if you think Ethereum's going to win, you're nuts. You're the guy who's saying Blockbuster is not going to get run over by Netflix, right? It's a period of time, but they're going to get run over. Like Ethereum and Binance are probably not going to go away, but they're not going to maintain that kind of market share and that kind of dominance. And eventually they're going to get the reputation that only crappy projects list over here and all the solid, actual real world businesses, verifiable businesses with cash flow and real tangible assets are all over here. And when the vacuum of money comes that way, because it's going to, it's inevitable. Think of how many, you guys heard about Three Arrows Capital and all kinds of venture capital funds that are all in trouble because of all of the shady shenanigans that are going on in crypto. And now we're going to have a truth machine that has insurance on it, that only has verified businesses on it, that have loans against the assets so sellers never want to sell. They are solving the blockchain trilemma also, right? So what Bitcoin maxis don't understand about crypto, and I try and simplify this, the Visa network does, they brag about 30,000 transactions per second. It's really not, but it's fast enough and it's very low cost, and we've all seen it and we're all used to it. The Bitcoin maxis, I call them the mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging troglodytes, because it's fun. That they're not thinking this through. That they think they're going to replace the monetary system. Bitcoin does 5 to 7 transactions per second, and now with Bitcoin ordinals, the transaction costs are $10 per transaction. So you're asking people to switch from something that's far more primitive than the Visa and MasterCard network. That's not going to happen. That's absolutely not going to happen. Bitcoin's not going away, but it's not going to dominate crypto forever. It's obsolete technology, and it's pretty glaringly obvious that it is. Now they put pixelated masturbating monkeys on there called ordinals, and they want us to be excited about Bitcoin and say, well, now it's going to take over the world because they've got these NFTs on there. Like, it's destroying the utility of the network. But I'm sorry, I'm way off on a tangent, but if you were to compare crypto blockchains, if you're talking to anyone on remotely understands crypto, and I bounced around way too much there, and I apologize for that, but what's being built here is revolutionary. And as long as they execute on their mission, you can't fathom how much money is going to rush into this ecosystem. When Jason's talking about 2 billion, that's like that's probably not 5% of what's going to come in. And if that comes in, don't worry about your tokens. They're going to prices your minds can't comprehend at this point.
Yep.
Hey,
Oh.
Terry, I'm sorry, Doug.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask him your question, but
We want to bring up the new license RXT with you. So I know that it was just released yesterday. It is a layer 2 project. How are you going about promoting this right now? I mean, it's really exciting when the new license comes out. How are you utilizing these launches?
Yeah, well, I got on the phone with John Stecky to ask him questions, and he didn't have the answers to my questions. So I said, well, you know what? I know the guys at RXT, so I did an interview with them last Friday night. It was very bad timing to get people onto the call, but I just wanted to get straight into it and clear up the facts so people would get rid of that indecisiveness. For me, our group is very anti-pharmaceutical because I've been teaching this for many decades, so I've had to take that head on. So it's been a bit of a challenge. But I just said to people this, like these blockbuster drugs are really big. When they get FDA fast track approval, which they just did, and only 5 companies got that this year, that means that in the not so distant future, and I don't know how many months that will be, they're going to sell that for several $billion. I don't think it'll be one, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was 2, 3, 4, $5 billion, and that's going to come in to fuel our token supply. And they're going to come out with, that's only one project that they're putting out. There's going to be other projects. And I just, I simplify it for people. It's like, I have no idea what's going to happen to the pharmaceutical thing, and whether you love it or hate it. Let me ask you a really honest question. Now that we have rear view 2020 vision, if you had the chance to invest in Viagra all those years ago, would you have done it? And people say, yeah, of course I would. It's a blockbuster drug. It's never left. It's stayed on the market forever. And there's no such thing as a drug without side effects, but people aren't dying and keeling over. It hasn't proven to be, overly harmful, and it's got longevity. And I don't think it's going anywhere. Like that whole category of pharmaceuticals is doing extremely well. So my answer to you is, why would you want to miss out on that? And since you always max out the tokens, when you get the tokens right on day one, why don't you buy on product launch? Just start accumulating your tokens. And even if you're not really excited about the project, set it and forget it, get some nodes running, let the tokens accumulate in the background, because this might end up being huge. You have no idea how big the pharmaceutical industry is, whether you love it or hate it. And I just remind people, it doesn't matter whether you love it or hate it. You're not going to stop people from taking magic pills, and insurance companies are happy to pay you for it. And we might as well be on the other side of that.
Mhm.
And if you think there's going to be lots of scandals around it, it's not like that. The Fair Project team is almost just like a broker. They're not going to actually operate the sale and distribution and marketing of the drug. That they're absolutely going to sell that to like Novartis or whatever in one day, and they're just going to be in the middleman again, be in the toll booth and collecting a big buyout, and that's going to somehow trickle in to affect our token values. And I'm excited about that. Like, why would we not just take a position and get in front of that? And why not do it at the lowest price possible when it's mining the most tokens it will ever mine? Like, might as well just get it done right away. And I just told my team, like, I'm in right away. Did it, done, and you can decide how you want to do it. But I suggest you just grab one. And then if you're not excited about that, you're excited about Rev, just grab one now, and we'll deal with Rev next week when the details come out. So.
Well, I love that you touched on that, Terry, because I've actually had a lot of pushback from my group too about being anti-pharmaceutical. And not only is it something that it's inevitable that, big pharma is going to be around, why not benefit from it? But if you actually want to go down the rabbit hole and you want to investigate what this is, who Dr. Buck is, and what they're actually trying to do, they're trying to better the medical world. They're trying to do things to get rid of a lot of what's wrong with it. Dr. Buck, you guys just need to look into him. I don't care what your stance is, but I mean, he was fired from his job because he spoke out against COVID, and he's very anti-vaccine. So for those of you that are anti-pharmaceutical, so is he.
Mhm.
That's why he's doing this.
Yeah, and I just want to talk really quick about this. This is close to my heart.
Literally.
Be real. I have studied the Renovus product that is coming out. A lot of people don't understand. I had open heart surgery in 2012. And I was on what's called the pump for 7 hours, which is the bypass machine. And after the surgery, the hardest part for me after was getting my organs going again, my kidneys, my liver, my digestive system. These things were a big challenge. What happens to a lot of people that have open heart surgery is the organs don't start to perform like they normally would, and then they can pass away from the lack of the organs working and so on. So this pharmaceutical group is designing this product so that it protects the organs as you go through this process on a cellular level, so that guys like me and stuff after the heart surgery can recover quicker. Instead of it taking months and months and months to recover, it can take weeks to recover. So I look at this as this is something on a massive scale that is life-saving worldwide for people that have to go in and have surgeries and so on like this. And so, like I say, it's close to my heart because of what they're putting out. And I've been studying, I've actually studied some stuff like this in the past. And this is a huge deal, you guys. That's why, I'm not so big into all the other pharmaceutical stuff as well, like everybody else is, but this one really has so much potential. And so that's why I got very involved with FAIR. And I believe in what this is going to do, and some of the other things when you listen and you hear what Dr. Parker's talking about, even about some of the cancer drugs and stuff that they're working on, and some of these things as well. This is really big, and the press alone that this is going to get for DebtBox, for IX Global on this is so massive. And to kind of lean a little bit back on what Catherine was asking about the L1 and the L2, L1 is designed around the DebtBox products, okay, and that's their system, their products run on that system. The L2 is open to the public, which is really big, because now all of a sudden you get massive groups looking at this. You got institutions that want to come on board, or whatever it may be. They want to come in and use the L2 product. What's great about that is then you start getting big name brand groups and so on that want to use the L2. What do you think is going to happen, you guys, when like a big company comes on board and they start using the L2 rail so that they can run and process their transactions on the crypto side? That is going to open the door to a huge amount of press, huge amounts of press. I mean, that's going to be on every news station. That's going to be on all sorts of stuff as time goes. So positioning yourself like what Terry's talking about is crucial in this, because when that moment happens, it's on its way. And I already see that taking place with FAIR. If you watched the presentation that they did last night, and you noticed that Dr. Buck, he was on multiple different news channels and so on already. So he already has that image. What do you think is going to happen when he's invited back on and starts talking about all of this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just sharing this. This is my mindset. This is only my mindset when I look at this with FAIR and what it's doing with the L2 and all of this and the products that they're going to be coming out with. It's massive. In my personal opinion, it is massive. And I think it's going to change a lot of people's lives, and it's going to help a lot of people. And we're going to get a lot of credit for that as a company in the long run. So I just wanted to share that little bit with everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to just add one other thing, is that, and I agree on everything you're saying, that this project has a great story, a great team. The team actually were really early investors in debt, which is, they were investors first and went to Africa and all that. That's not going to happen with every project. But the fact is, there are about 100 of these projects coming in the next 9 months. Every one of them is going to have an amazing story. Every story with every project is going to get better and better. If you're not into pharmaceuticals, skip it. We got another one coming out next week, REV, right? Which is finance for everything that flies, floats, or drives, right? So, you're going to have to pick. You're going to have to pick and choose. Some of these guys are going to be able to buy every single one. Most of us are not going to be able to buy every single project when there are 150 projects. So, you could skip one. It's not going to be the end of the world. If this one doesn't float your boat, wait, and next week get involved with Rev. And so just a thought.
Terry, is there anything that you want to kind of finish up with, or do we want to open it up for kind of some questions and answers?
I'm open to questions. If you want some, that's fine.
Does anybody have any questions for Terry while we have him with us, you guys?
Yeah, Terry, hi, this is Bob. If somebody had 10K to invest right now with the mix of nodes we have available, how would you suggest they invest it?
Ooh, yeah. There's never a black and white answer for that.
Yeah, I
One
know.
thing I'll tell you for sure is get the Rev project on day one would be my advice. Having watched what happened with DCM and Drip, I don't think everyone fully understood how that was going to play out and that the token supply would be long gone quickly and how valuable it is to mine in the first thing. Yeah, I mean, I think in the July, in the first burns, a third of the supply of DCM and Drip were already gone forever. Like, that's crazy. There's going to be and these are big projects. So I don't know enough about Rev. I just know if it's that kind of tokenomics, don't wait even a day. Like, keep enough money on the sidelines to get in on that right from day one. So you're going to want a blocks license or a debt micro license so you can get the airdrop on that for sure. You know, I don't think it's a bad idea to get in on the RXT if that feels right for you, because it is a new project. I teach my team all the time, prioritize the new projects. Never discount that the old projects don't have value, because over the long term, once all the licenses are sold out, we're all equal holders and we're always going to have residual bills. We're always going to need residual cash flow, right? In my mind, I know in the early days, I put this in my head. I was like, what if each node in the future only pays me $50 a day? I don't know where I got that number in my head. Pays me $50 a day. If I just focus on building a portfolio now and I get 10, 20 of those lined up, and it's okay if I line them up over time, for every normal person, that is financial freedom. You are completely set free, right? So we still have Drip at $500. While it doesn't mine a lot of tokens, the airdrops are going to be worth a lot of money. So, you know, you got, you know, for $500, you could buy, you know, for $1,000, you can buy 2 of those. So, I mean, I would buy that. We teach our team 80 to 90% of your money should be in licenses. And then, you know, if you're coming into the ecosystem late, keep a little bit of money maybe to buy some tokens and some projects maybe that you missed if you have a heart for them. For example, I mean, NatG is just so incredibly huge, and at these ridiculous, insanely low prices, even $1,000 there buys you a lot of tokens. And in my mind, rightly or wrongly, I don't think it's a function of if NatG goes to $1. It's a function of when NatG goes to $1. And I think it's going to happen so much sooner than people think. People are looking in the rear view mirror, judging historical price action. They're not paying attention to the tea leaves of what's happening in the tokenomics and what's coming. And so, you know, you spend $1,000 in there, you get millions of tokens, and it does hit $1 in the next 12-ish months, whatever that number ends up being. Wow, you're going to be very happy you left a little bit on the sidelines for that. But at the end of the day, I remind people of this, Bob, is all the licenses are valuable. I think they will all do good. The tokenomics for each project were tailor engineered for the business model. And when L1 comes on, a rising tide is going to lift all boats big time. So I think that you will do well in all of them. So, you know, you got to be mindful of where you can accumulate. Like Blocks is a January project, has never had a halving, is not going to have a halving for an extended period of time, and still generates a large amount of tokens. We've got over $200 million coming into Blocks right now, plus a whole bunch of big news items about to come out on it. Certainly worth considering. So I think about those kinds of things, but I always remind my team of this. If you think that you're somehow outsmarting the system, I always think you got to have a pretty big ego. When Jason tells you all the time he's done the math 1,000 different ways, and that in the long run, node holders are always going to win. And then you got these day trading types like, I'm just going to buy the tokens. Okay, yeah, you outsmarted Jason. All right, fine. Yeah, good luck with that. But I also remind them that lotto winners, like that's the lotto ticket mentality, right? And lotto ticket winners always go to zero. And every single lotto winner would have never gone to zero if they invested in cash flowing assets, right? Grant Cardone sums up investing very simply. It's one thing and one thing only. It's cash flowing assets. If you could sum it up, where you should put your money. And if lotto winners did that, they would never go bankrupt, but they never do. And so to me, the node is a money printing machine. I get to be like a central bankster. I get to be a little bit of an ATM machine. Because the other thing I always remind people of is if you're not like a super seasoned pro investor, like a guy like Eric, chances are when those prices start to pump and you get very emotional and excited, you're going to sell. You're going to sell so damn early in the project. And then eventually you're going to think you're smarter than you are. You're going to do some day trading. You're going to make the wrong move. You're going to get pinched and you're going to get hurt. And you're going to run out of tokens at some point, right? These people get so emotional. When you're trying to tell me when 150 million, even before L1 comes in, and we all go up by 25x, you think the average lotto ticket mentality person who thinks that they don't need any money printing machines, they're going to sell. They're going to sell the whole damn thing. They've never got a 25x before. They're out the game before L1 launches. That's the majority of the ecosystem. You look how few wallet holders there are right now. It's so little. So my focus will be on notes. Long-winded answer. I apologize.
That's
And
great.
catch the new ones when they come out, especially, and maybe leave a little slice if you never got to buy NatG, like many of us on the call probably didn't. You know, grab a slice of tokens there, because that's just the mismatch between tokenomics. Everything that's happened in that project never should have happened if you study it. So,
Okay, thanks.
any other questions?
Don't be shy, guys.
Awesome.
I think you left them speechless, Terry. That was awesome information. I really appreciate you joining us tonight.
I got a question if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy
sure.
birthday.
Sorry, I'm late to the show. We had a long day. So just start from the top if you would, so I can catch up. That'd be great.
All right.
No, so you guys talked a little bit about the rev, and it might be a little bit too early to have any information on that. Are they going to do something similar like they did with the RXT on its delivery, its initial launch? I know the $2,000 start was a little bit different than the last couple of projects. Is it going to be similar? Are they going to go back up to the kind of that 70 or that higher starting rate? Is that an answer that anyone would know at this point?
Yeah, I do know the answer. It is going to be exactly like what you saw with Drip and DCM. It's going to be all the first year mining in 6 weeks. It's going to be the sliding price tier. It's going to go hyper fast this time because over more than 200,000 people have airdrop coupons, and there's only 100,000 licenses. So that doesn't mean every single person's going to do it or has the money sitting on the sidelines ready for it, but that's going to happen. So it's going to move quick, and you're going to get massive token accumulation. And also watching how fast the token supply for the Drip and DCM are going to vanish. Those projects are going to make huge money really fast. You're going to make a ton of money by getting in early, I think. So we'll see, but time will tell. But I would definitely jump on that quickly.
I would agree because it's on that same model. That same model is going to move very, very quickly, in my personal opinion. You know, we already saw that in DCM. I was blown away at how quick that project evolved and what it did with the amount of people that are already involved. Now we're looking at the airdrop side of things, and the massive amounts of people that are coming in, and the more exposure. Yeah, I can't help but see it going very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, DCM broke the record, but this is probably going to break the DCM record because of the debt micros that are out there.
Yeah,
it changes the dynamic, and now we just saw 2 straight total preview windows back to back in short time frames of how this plays out. It's going to move really quick. So we're going to accumulate even less tokens on that, but the price action will probably be even more explosive. Did you guys hear that all the old warehouses of old Bitcoin mining rigs are all coming out of the warehouse?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Please tell me you got DCM, people. Please tell me you didn't miss DCM. It's going to be so good. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing point that this really low cost energy makes thousands and thousands of Bitcoin miners that have been archived usable again. And this just, and the debt box isn't going to have to put up any of the capital to buy these. There are people that are just going to provide these machines. It's insane what these guys have put together. I don't know how, it's crazy. It's a good point. It's a good point.
You know, that in case I didn't overstate this earlier, but I mean, dig in and learn what you have here, because the way you communicate with people is going to be very dramatically affected by that. Because if you understand where this is going, listen, Jason's goal, Jason would probably hang from the rafters before he accepts not being a crypto top 10 project. So the Solana market cap is 7.5 billion. All right. He would consider anything less than that to be a wild, absolute, insane failure. That's just their personality types and how they engineer this. So again, my friends, we're at coin market cap 2,400. What do you think happens when 7.5 or 10 billion or whatever that number ends up being comes in here? And all of the L2, all the parent, all the sister L2 projects are going to go up by 2.5x. You know, the math is insane. When Jason said it's kind of maybe sort of a possibility that we could beat Bitcoin to 100K, he's not talking about it as a possibility anymore. That's now become the goal. Imagine the growth projection when we go from $13 up to there. Now, there's a lot of variables in there. Don't misconstrue that I'm guaranteeing or promising this. There's a lot of variables in between then, here and there. But I mean, if they executed, if they screwed up royally even, and then your tokens are going to go up by 2.5 times more than that, don't you want your friends and family to be in front of that? Don't you alter someone's life, even if we, no matter how we slice the math, miss it by 90%, miss it by 50%, miss it by 2 years, maybe it takes 2 years longer. I don't know what that is. That whole tokenomics of 3 to 5, that's still in play. But your freedom date just got accelerated when L1 got bumped up by 2 years, regardless of the tokenomics for any other project. But imagine what happens in 3 to 5 years to those projects as the royalties continue to grow and there's no token supply and nobody's selling and the royalties still keep hammering in. Oh my gosh. Guys, but you know, I know there's lots of people in this ecosystem who are dreaming about buying islands and jets. Maybe they're crazy, maybe they're not. Time will tell. But if you understand how big this is, I think if you get it, you're going to convey that emotional enthusiasm to people, and they're going to take a close look and make some smart moves. Any other questions? Have 2 separate Telegram groups, answer every question with a resource. Use your voice texting, pique their interest, walk them through a sequential videos, get them into a 3-way chat or a 3-way call. Keep it simple. Don't try and explain everything. Don't try and be the expert. Make sure that something that you're doing can be duplicated. People don't have to become a blockchain ninja of the world to do this if you show them a simple process to onboard on, right?
And I think Bob had one last question for you, Terry.
No,
Sure,
I was gonna say thanks. Your information was really good. We really appreciate it.
Happy to hear it, Bob.
Thank
Well,
you.
great to meet all of you. I'm on Telegram. If you need help, if you got questions, you know, reach out. I'm not a stranger on there. I spend a lot of time on there by my nature because I take this serious, and I want to show my team that I do. I don't just disappear for weekends and disappear for every long weekend and disappear and disappear. I don't do that because I don't encourage them to do that. Give this 6 months, guys, with all you got, and you'll never worry about money again. That's the truth.
Yeah. What's your Telegram channel? The best way to get you on Telegram? Is it under your name or is it under your team name or something?
Our Telegram group for Debtbox.
Yes.
I think it's called DB/IX. Is that how we found it? Sarah can get it to you anyway. She's in
Okay.
there.
She'll post in the group. Okay. Well, I just want to thank you also, Terry. Really inspired by your success, and it just sort of reinstills my belief once again that I'm in the right place at the right time. So good to have you on tonight. Awesome.
Just remember, friends, it's easier to go fast than it is to go slow. So just get the car over the hill and get it done and build momentum.
Awesome.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Terry. We'll have to have you on again soon. I really, really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Sounds great, friends. Great to see you all. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys, thank you.